Bonsoir et bienvenue à la réunion régulière du mois de août, 24 août 2023. Membre du conseil, Monsieur Tessier, chef de département, bonsoir. Les gens dans la salle, bonsoir. C'est notre première réunion depuis le mois de juin, donc bienvenue. Les gens à la maison qui nous écoutent sur YouTube, bienvenue aussi. Donc, on va procéder de l'avant avec notre réunion mensuelle. Ouverture de la réunion à 6h15. Ça va à l'item numéro 2, adoption de l'agenda. Proposeur, appuyeur. Mme Bigelow, appuyé de M. Roy. Tous en faveur? Ceux qui sont contre? Adopté. Item numéro 3, disclosure pecuniary interest. Aucune. Ça va à l'item numéro 4, présentation by council, il n'y en a pas. 5.1, présentation du comité consultant EVB Engineering, River Lane Sanitary Sewer Backup. Avec nous ce soir, on a de la firme EVB Engineering, François Lafleur. Monsieur Lafleur, bienvenue. À vous la parole.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Je peux le faire en anglais si tout le monde comprend l'anglais. Oui, c'est bon. Well, thank you for receiving me tonight. I'll be talking about the River Lane sewer backups. Who's doing the presentation? Okay. We could go on to the next slide, please. So I'll just give a brief overview. So we're going to talk about the background and some of the previous work that was done. We're going to talk about also we have a computer model of the sanitary system in Réunion. We're going to talk about some of those calculations. And then on to solutions, which I'm sure that's why everybody is here tonight. We can go on to the next slide, please. So just to give everyone some background, so the EVB engineering was retained by the Township a couple months ago just to review. There's been an issue with recurring sewer backups. That's in the basements on River Lane. Then the subdivision was built in the early 2010s, so it's not super old. And then the township received a letter from residents. There's been numerous backups, 2014, 2017, 2020, 2019, 2023. Those are the known ones. I'm sure there might have been some other ones mixed in there as well. And they're frequently occurring during large rainfall events or spring snow thaw season. And that's kind of to be expected, as we'll see further on. And one important thing is that for a long period of time, residents are not able to use their sewer, so their toilets, their showers and all that. Even though they do have backflow preventers in their house, they're just like the pipe's full, so they can't just put any more in the pipe, otherwise it comes up through the basement. Next slide, please. And just to give some background as to what previous work was done. So WSP, which is another engineering firm, was hired by the township in 2020. It was before that, but the report was done in 2020. So they did an infiltration and inflow study, which is I&I in our abbreviation. And this is to look at the water that should not be in the sanitary sewer, and that can be caused by multiple reasons. You could have some pump connections into the sanitary sewer. You could have a catch basin, like a roadway catch basin, directly connected into the sanitary sewer. Things like cracks in the pipes are all contributors of I&I. And the big issue with I&I is it increases the flow in the sewers significantly. It leads to higher operating costs for the township. There's pumps in the system. There's a wastewater treatment plant that has to treat more water. So every time it rains, you can imagine there's a higher need for pumping all that water, to treat all that water. And there's also a higher risk of sewer backups because the system just can't sustain the amount of water that goes into it. Next slide, please. And this is just one of the charts that was provided as part of that study. So they WSP did flow monitoring in the spring and summer of 2017. And in the study, surprising probably no one, they noted that there's a significant increase in flow following rainfall events, following snow melt season. This is one such chart that was prepared in the report. And we can see like the blue line at the bottom is the average dry weather flow. So just like regular flow from toilet use, domestic use. And then we have a rainfall and the flow increases dramatically. And then it kind of stays elevated for 2-3 days. So, and it increases from 3 liters a second to 20 some liters a second. So it's quite big. Like it's almost a 10-fold increase in flow for that particular storm event. So we know right there and then by seeing this graph, we know we have an infiltration and inflow issue in L'Orignal in the sewer system. Next slide, please. And some of the other work that was done, so EVB was hired for the reconstruction of King Street in 2022. And part of that mandate was also to look at possible sources of I&I. So we did camera inspections in these sewers. We did a field visit to make sure that no houses were, like the eaves troughs, the roof gutters were not connected into the sanitary, and they were not for the most part. Like a lot of homes don't even have eaves troughs. And we could not see like obvious sources of I&I. So we didn't see any roadway catch basins directly connected in the sanitary. We didn't see anything like that. We did note flow in some of these sanitary laterals during the camera inspection, where, could it be a toilet flushing while the camera was going through? Possible, but it could also be like a sump pump connection or a gravity foundation drain connection into the sanitary sewer. And we could not confirm the presence of sump pumps in the houses or where they go. Like we don't have authority to enter private buildings, so that's not something that we could either confirm or deny. So part of that King Street project, we installed a new storm sewer along the entire length of the reconstruction extent, or some of it is under construction right now. So each house or each property now has a storm service lateral that's capped at the property line that would allow for a future disconnection of, like, say, if somebody does have a sump pump into the sanitary sewer, it could then be disconnected from the sanitary and connected into the storm at the property line. And then we also did sewer lining. So when we did the camera inspection, we found a few cracks in the pipe. We have like the image at the bottom left. So what it is we installed a liner in the sanitary sewer system, which makes it watertight, and it's going to extend the useful service life of the pipe too. And we also did spot repairs on Wharf Street. I'm not sure if those are actually done, or they're going to be done very shortly. So we found a couple locations where the pipe was cracked and bashed in, so we're going to address those as well. And in terms of the computer model, so the model was created by WSP as part of their I&I study. So part of that computer model allows us to run scenarios and look at how the system reacts when it's subjected to like a large storm event or low flow, high flow. So in the model, WSP could not replicate flooding on River Lane, but when we added flow in the model just to see how things would react, then we're able to see, yeah, okay, there is actually flooding that could occur in River Lane. So, we're kind of validating what's being seen by the residents on site. So we're saying, okay, yeah, we see how it could happen. So this is a cross section of the pipe along King Street, and then Front Street, and then River Lane. So we see the water level in the sewer does rise up to some extent when it's subjected to large storm events. And again, like I said, this correlates well with evidence from what the residents are telling us, that they're seeing sewer backups. And obviously that's because the water level rises up above their basement elevations. So in terms of solutions, there's various options that we looked at to address the issue. And I just want to note too that it's not, the options are not mutually exclusive. So and we're going to get more into that after. But it's not like we just do the one option and then we're done. I think we're going to pick and choose more than one option. So we'll just get into the various options. The first one is to reduce the amount of I&I in the system, which is, it's an easy thing to say. It's very hard to do in practice. The first item is the sump pump disconnections. So all throughout the older part of town, like we suspect that a lot of homes are connected, their sump pumps or their gravity drains from the house are connected into the sanitary sewer. It's not an expensive thing to do for the township. All it would take is like a resolution by council to say everybody has to disconnect their sump pumps essentially. It's going to be highly unpopular with the property owners because they're not going to see a benefit from doing that to their own property, and it's going to cost them quite a bit of money, obviously. But it needs to be done throughout the village for the biggest benefit. So we can't just say, every house we disconnect, there's going to be a benefit, but to see the biggest impact from that, then we would have to disconnect like the entire village, which is it's a pretty big undertaking. And then to make matters worse, some roads don't have storm sewers currently, so it's very tricky to do. It's hard to go tell someone, well, you need to connect onto the storm, but there's no storm on the road, so we're kind of stuck for some properties. The next option, or it goes hand in hand. It's another method or strategy to reduce I&I. It's doing things like we did on King Street, so pipelining, sanitary sewer repairs, maintenance hole repairs. So there's a medium cost associated with that. Side benefit is it extends the life of the infrastructure, and it's not addressing the I&I from the sump pumps and the gravity foundation drain connections. And it takes quite a bit of investigation to find those sources. So it's doing a lot of camera inspections, which the township is already, we're picking away at it. There's quite a bit of sewer in the village, but as we find sources of I&I, then it's something that gets put on a list and then it gets addressed. And yeah, like I'm just saying here, some sources have been identified already. And some repairs were done a couple months ago. So we have 4 locations where we had broken pipes, broken laterals, which all contribute to, they're all like small contributors of I&I, but the hope is by the time we address all the issues in the system that the I&I is going to reduce significantly. And yeah, we did repairs on Wharf Street and pipelining on King Street, as we said. Another solution is to increase the capacity of the village's sanitary system. So this would mean building a larger pump station, building larger sewers. It's obviously very high cost, like we're dropping new pump stations here and there. That's very high cost associated with that. It's not so efficient because we're designing for the worst case scenario. So rather than design for that 2-3 liters a second of domestic flow, then we're now designing for 40 liters a second of storm flow, and that would only happen maybe once or twice a year type thing. So we have a pump that's grossly oversized and just in case. And one benefit of this option is we can size it for future development. So if there is future subdivisions or industries or what have you that is interested in coming to town, then at least we have the capacity for them. We're able to support that development. One other solution, we don't think it's not necessarily the best one, but it's one solution, is essentially putting the houses on River Lane on a pump system. And that could be just like not always on a pump system, but only if and when the water level, like in the spring thaw season, when the water level in the sewer is too high, then the pump would kick on, and then it would allow the residents to keep discharging their sewage essentially. This is one system. It's called the E1 system, and it's little prepackaged pumping station that would get installed in the front yard of the home. There's other systems out there, just one of them, and it would be owned and maintained by the property owner. And those systems are about $10,000 a piece. From what we had some calls with the supplier. And there's about a 265 liter storage capacity, which is about 1 day's worth. So in case of power outage, you could use your toilets for about 1 day until there's no more room. On to the next, please. And I think probably the most easy option for in the short term is to make some modifications to the existing overflow pipe at the King Street Sanitary Pump Station. So currently there's a pipe in the pump station that when the pumps can't keep up, it allows the water level to just go out into the small creek that's there. But the issue with that pipe is it's too high currently. So by the time the water level gets high up enough, then we already have issues on River Lane. So what we would do is take that pipe and build it slightly lower, and just to protect the basements on River Lane. So this would drastically reduce the frequency of sewer backups on River Lane. We can't say for sure that it'd be impossible to flood River Lane, but it would make it a lot less frequent for sure. In terms of cost, it'd probably be a few tens of thousands of dollars for the township. So it's one of the cheaper options for sure. It would increase the frequency of overflows into the river, which those have to get reported to the MECP, the Ministry of Environment, and they get there's a volume attached to them too, and there's a maximum amount that can be discharged to the environment every year. We don't think we would exceed that amount, but we would be increasing the amount of untreated sewage discharged into the environment, obviously. The good thing is it's highly diluted with all the rain that's being mixed in, so it's not great, but when you're considering the alternative of flooding a basement, I'm sure everybody here would agree that might be the lesser evil. It's one thing that can be implemented quickly, so all we would need to do is essentially go and dig a pipe, dig the whole pipe, put the pipe in, and we've asked the contractor that's on King Street for a quote for this work already. We don't have it yet, but for the next few weeks we'll have that. And we've had discussions with the township too about doing the work with township forces as well, which would likely be more cost efficient, but it's something we can review. So yeah, it can be implemented quickly, but it does not address the underlying I&I issues in the system. So we're kind of relieving the pressure in the system. We're helping the folks on River Lane avoid frequent backups, but we're still going to have high flows in the system. We still have to do flow monitoring reporting to MACP. And like I said, it'll probably negatively impact compliance requirements with the MECP. And the idea was that this option would be done just to buy us some time, and in conjunction with I&I reduction measures that would be applied through the system. So the idea is let's do the overflow right away, and then we go in and we start tackling the I&I issues as we have already started to do, but it's a very slow process, and every crack we fix in the sewer helps us, but it takes a lot of cracks to be fixed before we start seeing an impact. So that was it. I'll take some questions now from council or from the public.
Thank you, Mr. Lafleur. I don't think it's going to be question period. I think it's going to be confusion period because there's lots of solutions. Very hard to find the proper one. I've been telling Mr. Menard many times that we should connect a pipe between the sewage system towards the water, the one that goes to the river. And anything that was excess would have flowed out and would have relieved a lot of the pressure. And I think your last solution is exactly what you're recommending.
Yeah, we're doing, it's one, by lowering the overflow, we're doing essentially that is, and we're protecting the entire village as well, not just River Lane.
Councillors, any questions? Question pour M. Lafleur. Madame Bigelow.
Hi.
Hi.
I do have a couple of questions. So you said obviously you can't go into the residents' homes. If all of the residents have a sump pump that's hooked up to the sanitary, if their French drains are hooked up to the sanitary, whatever, just those residents, is that enough water flow to cause the problem, or is this much bigger than that?
Yeah, through the mayor, it could very well be that by disconnecting those sump pumps, we may not fully fix the issue, but it would certainly improve on that high increase in flows that we are seeing in the sanitary sewer. And the trick is, it's very hard to quantify how much of that flow is coming from the sump pumps, from the houses, and how much of that is coming in from cracks in the pipe and things like that. So it's kind of a moving target a bit. Like every repair we make is a good thing. Every sump pump we disconnect is a good thing. But it's hard to say that, well, let's disconnect 50 houses and then we'll be okay. It's like the more we can, the better type thing. Does that answer your question?
I have a couple. Okay. So all of I don't know if I need to ask the residents or if someone knows this, but the floods from 2014, 2017, 2019, and 2023, is it all the residents that are flooding at the same time? Is it, if you're driving down River Lane, is it the people on the left side of the road, more so the people on the right side of the road? Or is it just this one flooded this time and that one flooded that time?
I'll say what I think, and I'd like to hear from members of the public as well. So on River Lane, there is a bit of the road comes up, yeah, and then there's a bit of a low point, and then it comes back up a bit. My gut feeling is that the people living in that low point are going to have the more frequent issues. But from what we've heard, it's more than just the people at the low end. They've been, I think, maybe the more impacted, but people at the other end, like the very north end of the road, I think those have also been impacted as well.
Can we, yeah.
Clarify on that, I'm the last house on River Lane, and then my storm is about, I'm gonna say 2.5, 3 feet above the basement slab. So it affects about 75–80% of the homes.
Okay.
Up until the last few homes where the sewer kind of goes up, or the storm kind of goes up. So I'm not having it in my house, the last one, but I am having it in my semi-detached, which is one of the first homes.
Okay.
So we're seeing it about 75–80% of the
Okay.
street goes up.
So in 2023, so it was said in the report that somebody had flooding in 2023. How many residents had flooding in 2023?
All the valves were closed.
And do all of you have sump pumps?
No, all the valves, the backup valves were all closed because the water was too high it was right up to about 2–3 feet from the top, from the road. And it should be 6.5 feet lower.
There is a separate storm system on River Lane?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Whoever speaks from the crowd, can you come to the microphone because we hear nothing? L'écho est tellement petite qu'on n'entend pas le son pantoute.
Quelle partie tu veux qu'on répète, Monsieur le maire?
Part du début.
All right. So, based on our experience, I would say about 80% of the homes on River Lane are experiencing the floods. On both sides, it's only our homes. I'm on the end of the street, so we're not getting that effect. And to answer your second question, there is a separate storm system on River Lane that goes to a pond, and then it exits at the river. So our sump pumps go in that separate storm that goes out to the river. So it doesn't go back into the sewer. We have a separate storm on River Lane.
So there really is no rhyme or reason as to why it's happening? Like, so it's not like this side of the road or that side of the road, it's literally,
It's the 75% of the street going.
okay.
Le one, toi, tu n'as pas, parce que t'as le sewage pump. T'es pas connecté direct.
Go ahead. Ask a question.
I did. And so my other question is, was it the same builder that built all the houses on this road? Is it like a subdivision, one builder came in and built everything? I don't know, Jen, if that's a question for you, or,
It is not, but it is the same contractor that built the subdivision and brought all the services. All the lots are serviced when we buy them. So-
okay.
There we go. The underground services were all approved, and then the individual lots were sold. And the builders for individual lots would have been different, but the underground services would have been built by the same contractor and reviewed and approved by the township.
So, just one last question. So on other subdivisions that there's a problem, we always say that this is the builder who did this, something that you have to check with the builder. I'm just wondering, is this a township issue? Is this a builder issue? That was my question.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it's something we were also wondering, like, where is the issue? And that's what we were hired to do, essentially. And then the first thing we said, okay, well, maybe there's an issue with the pipe on River Lane itself. And I didn't mention that, but we had very recently a camera run through that pipe. And the pipe's good. Everything is, there's nothing, suspicious in there. The one thing that is suspicious, I should say, is the pipe is very dirty. So that's an indication for us that the water level has risen up above the top of the pipe. But ultimately, I don't think it's fair to pin that on the developer, the builder. It's really like an issue of the water. There's too much water in the existing L'Orignal system, and the system's not keeping up, and the water level rises, and then it starts impacting River Lane. And it's funny enough, well, not funny enough, but it's those basements are probably the lowest ones in town. They're newer home constructions. Some of the older homes are likely, the basements are likely not as deep compared to newer homes constructions. So they are the first ones to get impacted. And that's what we're seeing.
Monsieur Burrows?
My question would probably be to Monsieur Tessier. I imagine when a development like this is going ahead for development, somebody signed off on the capacity of our system to be able to take the sewage. So was that done? Do you have information as to who would have done it? And it's not about finger pointing, but it's about how the decision-making was made to go ahead with the project.
Bonsoir à tous. C'est une bonne question, M. Burrows. Est-ce que ça a été fait? Est-ce que ça a été pas fait? J'étais pas là quand ils ont construit la subdivision. La subdivision est toujours présentée avec des drawings, des plans des ingénieurs, autrement dit, qui sont certifiés. Puis, nous, en date d'aujourd'hui, qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Comme on a fait pour la subdivision de Goyer, on le fait passer par EVB, qui est l'ingénieur de la ville, la firme qui s'occupe de l'ingénierie de la ville, pour s'assurer qu'on a la capacité. Donc, on revalide les informations qui nous sont données. À ce moment-là, moi, je ne pourrais pas le dire. Qu'est-ce qui a été fait? Ça demanderait plus de recherche, mais ça m'étonnerait que ça l'aurait été fait, ça n'aurait pas été double vérifié à ce moment-là. Là. On ne parle pas d'une subdivision des années 50. Là.
Merci. My question to Mr. Lafleur is that your solution that you seem to be prioritizing would be to have that overflow pipe reduced in height so that it would take all the sewage or the excess, and that would benefit everybody, being in River Lane, also the rest of people that are using the system.
That's
Am I correct
correct.
to understand that?
Yes, and like I said, like the basements on River Lane are probably the lowest ones in L'Orignal. So, if those homes did not exist on River Lane, we might have that same issue like elsewhere in town. So it's possible that we could have like a massive storm, a massive amount of infiltration into the system, and which would impact River Lane and then some other people in town as well. So by moving that pipe to a lower elevation, then we are, we're helping protect those basements essentially. And I'd like to speak to the capacity question you brought up as well. So it's a bit tricky because we're looking at this based on a dry weather capacity, which is before the study was done by WSP, there was really no information available to the township to say that, it was always known that there was like an infiltration and inflow issue in the town. But that data was not available to say that, okay, well, when we have a big storm, we have the water level goes up to here. And so that information was not available. And in terms of capacity, so they would have looked at the dry weather flow, which is just your domestic usage of sewers. So as we saw, there was, a few liters a second in that existing pipe. So we're adding, a dozen homes. The system can take it under normal conditions. But when you introduce that big storm event, and that's where the issues start appearing.
Would that be have to be tendered out, that job, to make the easy part? You say this is the easiest solution. Would that have to be tendered out, or could it be just given to one of the contractors?
It's good. I'm not too familiar. I know you have a purchasing policy. Maybe that's something Kevin can touch on.
C'est une bonne question. Monsieur Duval, donc essentiellement, notre procurement policy au-dessus de 25 000 $ nous demande des seal quotes. Donc, essentiellement, si c'est plus de 25 000 $, il faudrait aller en seal quote. Et sinon, c'est simplement 3 quotes, là, autrement dit, qu'on pourrait obtenir. Toutefois, ce que je voudrais apporter là, au rapport avec ça, c'est que nous, ce qu'on planifiait faire, c'est rapporter au mois de septembre, à la réunion régulière, le rapport final sur la solution qui va être proposée. On a déjà notre idée en tête, c'est le bypass qu'on irait avec, mais possiblement aussi avec valider au niveau du infiltration qu'on a à l'Orignal, voir qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec nos sump pumps. Donc, est-ce qu'on va dans toutes les maisons et on commence à déconnecter? On le sait, cette eau-là, on la traite, elle nous coûte extrêmement cher. Donc, est-ce qu'on veut aller avec cette solution-là? Parce que le bypass, c'est vraiment temporaire. Ça va régler notre problème présentement, mais à long terme, c'est pas la solution. Donc, essentiellement, on reviendra au mois de septembre avec le rapport définitif puis les montants. Mais ce qu'on sait, c'est que si c'est les employés municipaux qui le font, c'est pas un travail qui est extrêmement long, puis ça coûtera pas une fortune. De ce qu'on sait maintenant.
It's just that the problem has been existing for quite a few years, so I think we need an answer and get it done now. So that's my. Thank you.
Merci, M. Duval. Madame Bigelow?
I guess it's a follow-up to Mr. Burrow's comment about the pipe. You also did say that it might be like a house to what may work for one may not work for the other. Is it in our best interest to have access to the homes, the residents, to be able to see, because some of them don't get water, but some of them do. So maybe what might work for one is not going to work before the other, like you have said, would it be better to go in and do a home-by-home assessment to legitimately fix the problem?
Yeah, and I think that's the good first step, is knowing, first of all, which homes the sump pumps are connected into the sanitary. Right now, we don't have that information. We suspect they all are connected, or in the old portion of the town anyways. Then from there is, there may need to be like special permissions given to some homes that say don't have a storm sewer in front of their road, to say, okay, well, we've looked at the options. And one other option too, I'm kind of jumping back and forth, like for those homes that don't have a storm sewer on their road, is doing a dry well and infiltration system into their backyard or front yard, or well, probably more backyard. For some lots, this may not be possible, just because of, if you have an old tiny lot, there's no room, or maybe a big garage in the backyard or something, then there's no room to dig like an infiltration, it'd be like a dry well type thing. So in those special circumstances, then there could be like special permissions given to residents saying, well, okay, we allow you to discharge into the sanitary sewer. It'd be like on an exception basis. Everybody else would be having to disconnect their sump pumps and connect into the storm, essentially.
Yeah, because my main concern is the money to be spent here, which clearly something needs to be done, and I'm not debating that. But the township goes ahead and they do one big fix, and then next year we have 3 residents of River Lane come in saying that this is not possible. They still have more water. It has not worked for them, and then we're again putting. So at some point, the onus now has to come back to the homeowner as well. Yes, you might not like the idea that's best for your property, may not aesthetically look nice, a dry well in the backyard or whatever, but the onus then has to go back to the property owner, that if you don't want this, okay, well, we've done what we can to fix the problem, and if you're not willing to fix the problem, then this kind of is what it is, kind of.
Yeah, and it's kind of tricky, because what's being done elsewhere in the village is impacting the residents on River Lane. So they're not the ones causing the issue. It's everybody else in town who is connected onto the sanitary sewer. So we can't really say that, somebody says, oh, I don't want a dry well, I'm okay, leave it as is. Well, those people have never had issues with their sanitary sewer. So it can't be it has to be pretty much forced on them. It's like, you have to do this. Because we have the houses on close to the pumping station, close to the McEwen in L'Oreal, the sewer is about 8 meters deep there. So those houses will never flood. It's always going to be the houses on River Lane flooding first. And then if there was some huge storm event, you might have some other houses in L'Oreal start having issues. But it's always going to be the same houses having issues. And I think we've seen that through the years. I'm not aware of any other homes that have flooded in L'Oreal. Not saying it hasn't happened. But it's always going to be River Lane, River Lane, River Lane, until people that are not currently impacted address the issue with their sump pumps. If that makes sense.
There's no right solution, but there's going to be a final one eventually. Monsieur Miner.
Very last line of the presentation says, will negatively impact compliance requirements. The very last line in your report speaks of negatively impact compliance requirements. I think that the last thing we want to do is come up with a fix that's going to put us in jeopardy with the ministries.
Yeah, and
have we evaluated to what extent, or do we know? Or
yeah, I can speak to that. So currently, the Ministry of the Environment says that we have to collect and treat 90% of the the water that goes into the sanitary sewer per year. That is for like a combined sewer system, which we could argue that we have because we are seeing very high increases in flow during weather periods. And currently, it depends year on year. So some years we don't have overflows into the river. So those years we are treating 100% of the water that goes into the sanitary. You know, it's a mix of domestic uses and storm flows. And I don't know, I'm not too sure. There may be some overflows too at the plant. I'm not sure how frequent they are or how, you know, how many liters, meters cubed there are. And then some other years, like it's probably one of those years that we had sewer backups on River Lane, we were around 96%, 97% of the treated water, of the water being captured and treated. So we still have some play. We're not at, like, if we were at 91% and we had to treat 90%, like, we'd be very up against the wall, and it'd be very much harder for us to make that recommendation to, make modifications to the overflow. But we checked with Aqua too, and they've looked at they have historical records of the water level in the pumping station. And I think last year they said it would have been one extra sewer backup or sewer bypass into the river. So we would still be within that 90% target. Is there ever a point in time where that 90% will not be achieved? It's possible. It's one of those things that depends on the weather. It depends on a lot of factors, mostly the weather. And it's hard to predict weather, so it's never mind 2 years in advance. So,
Just want to make sure that if we spend a certain amount of money, whether it's small or not, that we don't create another problem. That's all. It answers my question. Thank you.
Merci, M. Miner. Avant d'aller à M. Burroughs, je m'en vais vous poser une question. Est-ce que la station peut décharger plus vite? Can they discharge at the station faster instead of going through the pipes at River Lane? The sanitary plant, could they discharge there faster? Could they intake the water faster and discharge faster? If we're allowed 10%, that would be part of this discharge instead of digging up the roads, and that would alleviate the pressure out of those pipes instantly.
Yes, are you asking, like, if the pump could be increased, like put a bigger pump in the chamber, or?
All this infiltration has to go to the station, right?
Yep.
So the station is probably full because the intake is not going in as it should. So if they were to discharge, it would probably alleviate the pressure in the pipes faster than trying to compensate the fact that we have to clean it so fast in regards to discharging. C'est la même affaire quand on fait le bypass à River Lane. You're going to put a straight pipe right to the river. Same thing, except instead of wasting that money to do a pipe, discharge it at the station. Je sais pas si ça se ferait.
Well, that's what we want to do is to make modifications.
Okay, mais c'est pas la modification sur River Lane.
No.
So you don't want to discharge at River Lane.
No.
Oh, okay.
And what we would do.
C'est un discharge de la River Lane.
And yeah, what we would do also is, so way back in the day, there was a pipe that the overflow used to be lower. It was raised at some point. So we would put it back to where the old elevation was.
And then bigger?
Bigger pipe? It's a 12-inch.
Monsieur Burroughs, on va revenir à vous, madame. Sir, voilà.
And, recommendation maybe to Mr. Tessier. I realize you're saying that we're going to ask for September, you're going to be submitting a report. My question is in regards to going into houses and conducting inspections on the possibility that people are probably connected to the sewage system. I'm questioning the legality of that. And and I would ask, could we not get a legal opinion before we even start contemplating any type of searches like this? Because we're going to be investing a home on the suspicion that we're connected to the water system. So I'm just asking that maybe could we get a legal opinion in regards to this?
C'est une bonne question, puis je crois que avant qu'on rentre dans des détails puis qu'on s'avance sur toutes sortes de choses, à ce soir, on va attendre qu'on ait le rapport final. Puis, oui, dans nos règlements, le 2001-38 nous permet, avec l'approbation de la personne, puis M. Gauthier, il est ici ce soir, et c'est écrit noir sur blanc dans notre règlement que c'est illégal d'avoir des combined sewer. Donc, si la personne s'est connectée illégalement sur le sanitary sewer, on aurait l'autorité de le déconnecter. Donc, techniquement, on pourrait le faire, même sans approbation de conseil ou autre, là. Mais c'est dans le règlement. Donc, est-ce qu'on pourrait obtenir une opinion légale? Peut-être qu'on pourrait l'avoir en plus, mais je pense qu'on va attendre le rapport final. Mais faire le village au complet ou autre, là, c'est pas demain la veille, là. La première solution, ça va être d'adresser le bypass, qui est une solution temporaire. Puis le 90%, on était au courant, mais c'était pour être mis dans le rapport final. Donc, on sait qu'on décharge juste à peu près 3% de notre eau dans la rivière ou autre, mais qu'on avait encore du jeu. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on voulait prendre le temps d'écrire le rapport final, puis après ça, on va vous donner une recommandation finale. Le travail, je sais que les gens de Riverline ont été très patients. Et est-ce que ça peut être fait rapidement? Ça peut être fait rapidement de ce qu'on m'a dit, parce que c'est juste le bypass à Pumping Station et non sur Riverline. Donc, si on a l'accord du conseil le 24, pas le 24, là, au mois la réunion régulière du mois de septembre, c'est quelque chose qui va pouvoir être fait. Donc, on sauve le printemps prochain.
Oups, on passe à deux autres questions. Mme Bello, M. Roy, puis après ça, on va s'en aller à ce que M. Tessier nous demande. On prendra 30 secondes pour Madame en arrière.
So just to clarify, when I suggested going into the resident's home, I wasn't saying we're going to hold them at gunpoint to do this and make them do this. We have some willing participants here that are looking for something to be done, looking for solutions to be done. And I don't imagine anyone's going to say, no, you cannot cross my property to help me figure out what this is. I was not implying that we were going to make you allow us to go into your property. It was just a suggestion that if everyone is looking for a reason, an explanation, a fix, then in order to do that, we have to be able to have access to see what all of the issues are. That was all I was implying. That was all I was not saying we're going to make it that everybody has to allow us in the property. That was it.
And just to reassure the residents of River Lane, like, we know that your sump pumps are not connected in the sanitary, so there's not even a point in going to your house to see if you are connected, because we know.
You're welcome.
We don't need to.
On the River Lane, you're welcome.
Yeah?
They're not connected.
We know you're not hiding anything, so.
No.
You just won't look at your decks, your fences, your
M. Roy?
Depuis la dernière rencontre, qui date de 2 mois, il y a eu plusieurs grosses pluies, puis je pensais à vous autres à chaque fois. Est-ce qu'il y a eu d'autres débordements depuis ce temps-là, quand il y a eu ces grosses pluies-là? Non?
Pour les pluies, là, qui est arrivé, les grosses pluies, moi, personnellement...
Pour les pluies, là, je peux vous dire, nous, on est là depuis 2016, c'est arrivé 3 fois, là, jusqu'en 23. Puis je dirais que cette année, avec les grosses pluies, on vérifie tout le temps parce que c'est toujours notre hantise. Et puis la valve, c'est jamais fermée. Donc, l'eau n'a pas monté. Fait que ça, c'est une amélioration. Donc, on est très heureux. Mais il reste que c'est que la fonte des neiges au printemps, c'est toujours les mêmes problèmes récurrents. Je ne sais pas si je peux poser ma question pendant que je suis ici. Je peux-tu? OK. Je vous entendais dire que certaines maisons n'ont pas d'accès au drain pluvial, donc ils envoient tout ça dans le système sanitaire. Je me disais, est-ce que vous avez une idée combien de maisons ne sont pas connectées avec un système pluvial pour pouvoir renvoyer leurs eaux de façon légale, si on peut dire. Avez-vous une idée?
Je pense que ça serait probablement comme la vieille partie du village. Fait que tout ce qui a été bâti avant les années comme 70. Ça...
On parle de combien de maisons, exemple?
Je ne sais pas, c'est une bonne question. Il faudrait que je les compte, là.
OK.
Mais ça serait... Puis ça, vu que même si c'est une vieille maison, ça ne veut pas dire nécessairement qu'ils sont connectés. C'est juste, tu dis, ben ils n'ont pas d'autres... Il n'y avait pas d'autre place à se connecter dans le temps. Fait que, où c'est que ça va? Probablement dans le sanitaire, là.
C'est ça.
Mhm.
OK.
Oui.
Je vais juste reprendre ça, excuse-moi. C'est parce que j'ai fait mes leçons avant de venir vous parler. Hein.
On peut savoir votre nom? Ma greffière, elle me fait
Madame
des signes.
Durocher.
Madame, pardon?
Guylaine Durocher. Puis, c'est parce que je reviens toujours, moi, dans ma tête, à dire que les gens qui ont acheté des maisons qui dataient de X nombre d'années, ils savent peut-être même pas qu'ils sont connectés sur des sanitaires. Alors, tu sais, je veux toujours dire... donc, s'il y a un problème de justement qu'on n'a pas l'accès à ces tuyaux-là pour pouvoir évacuer cette eau-là de façon convenable, puis que les autres sont branchés puis ils ne le savent pas, je pense qu'il faut sensibiliser les gens à se demander est-ce que mon système est légal ou pas en premier, sans dire donner une contravention ou quoi que ce soit, mais d'expliquer la situation dans l'orignal, puis après ça, parce qu'il faut aller, comme vous dites, le problème, c'est pas vraiment... juste River Lanes, parce qu'on a tout l'afflux de tout ce qui se passe. Et puis, il faut travailler en amont. Donc, toutes ces infiltrations-là qui arrivent, que ce soit des sondes pompes ou parce qu'ils n'ont pas accès à une irrigation de pluviale, c'est-à-dire pour pouvoir envoyer ça, je pense qu'il faut travailler sur ça aussi. Donc, tantôt, je vous entendais dire, on va aller avec une solution. Je pense que c'est monsieur ici, des travaux publics. Puis après ça, on va voir à ça. Puis je comprends que ça peut être long, mais je pense qu'il faut aussi sensibiliser les gens. Puis vous savez, j'avais mentionné, il y a 2 mois, que ça aurait été le fun d'envoyer un petit avis avec le compte de taxes. Juste de sensibiliser ça, au même titre que le village de la Nation, la municipalité de la Nation le fait à chaque année, rappelant aux gens que c'est pas une pratique qu'on devrait faire. Juste poliment, de façon très cordiale, mais que ça peut avoir un impact sur des gens. Donc, si vous pourriez faire ça, déjà là, je pense qu'on pourrait avoir, un petit pas vers une bonne direction. Merci.
Juste un petit point de clarification. Oui, j'avais trouvé que c'était un excellent point là, de faire de la prévention. Je m'excuse, M. Lévesque qui n'est pas là ce soir. C'est lui le directeur des travaux publics. Là. Donc, non, il n'y a pas de problème. C'est un excellent point que Mme Durocher avait apporté au niveau de la sensibilisation. Pour qu'est-ce qui était des comptes de taxes, il était toutes les petits avis, là, tout avait déjà été imprimé à ce moment-là. Donc, on n'était pas en mesure de l'ajouter, mais c'est quelque chose qu'on veut sensibiliser les gens par rapport au Combined Storm Sewer. Effectivement.
Il faut avancer. Là. On est rendu à plus de 40 minutes sur le sujet. Là. Monsieur Roy, un suivi?
Je n'avais pas terminé, mais ce ne sera pas long. Si au mois de septembre, c'est approuvé d'aller de l'avant avec le changement au niveau de ce tuyau-là, est-ce que c'est quelque chose que les employés peuvent faire de façon assez rapide ou est-ce qu'il faut absolument aller en soumission puis attendre que ça soit tout réglé?
Non, il y a 3 micros. C'est juste 2 micros max.
L'information que j'ai aujourd'hui, c'est que les employés municipaux pouvaient le faire, puis c'est relativement rapide. Ce qui nous restait à confirmer, c'est qu'il faut avoir un amendement à notre ECA, je crois, c'est François? Ou... Ouais. À quoi regarde présentement à ça, voir s'il nous faut un amendement à notre ECA. Donc, c'est essentiellement ça qui nous pourrait nous retenir. Mais si le conseil nous donnerait le OK en septembre, puis qu'on attend juste le ministère, les probabilités que le ministère nous refuse, démontrant qu'on a eu des floodings en 14, 17, 19, 23, puis que notre bypass il était plus bas que ce qui est présentement par le passé. Et c'est pour ça que je mets de l'emphase aussi pour le fait qu'on aurait, par le fait même, une résolution qui dirait on va adresser le problème des sump pumps. On démontrait au ministère qu'on essaye de régler le problème puis que c'est pas une solution temporaire, qu'on cherche pas à repousser le problème aux gens dans 20 ans, là, puis qu'on soit autour de la même table.
C'est quoi l'impact environnemental de décharger ce surplus dans la rivière? Parce qu'on sait que la plage n'est pas loin. Est-ce qu'on règle un problème et on en crée un qui va être encore plus difficile à régler ailleurs parce que ça va impacter tous les résidents qui demeurent sur le bord de l'eau, là? Ça va être quoi l'impact selon vous?
C'est une bonne question. Je peux répondre en termes de débit, comme qu'est-ce qu'on décharge versus le débit de la rivière. C'est littéralement une goutte dans drop in the bucket, comme on dit. Il va peut-être avoir un petit peu plus d'odeur. Mais je veux souligner aussi qu'il y en a déjà des overflows comme c'est là. Il y en aurait peut-être un petit peu plus fréquemment. C'est pas comme quelque chose qu'on crée de rien. C'est quelque chose qu'on augmente la fréquence un peu. Mais c'est une bonne question. C'est une préoccupation. C'est un désavantage de le faire.
C'est la dernière.
Il y a clairement un impact au niveau des coliformes, j'imagine, qui pourrait y arriver. Autre chose, là, quand on demande aux gens de se débrancher du sanitaire pour aller au pluvial, puis on parle que c'est surtout le corps ou le milieu du village, ça représente quoi, ça? Ça veut dire qu'ils vont creuser devant chaque entrée pour modifier. Ça représente quoi comme coût pour l'ensemble de ces gens-là? Puis est-ce qu'ils savent vraiment ce que ça représente? Parce que ça va ouvrir tout un débat là aussi. Là. Donc, comment ça va fonctionner réellement? Tu as une idée, Kevin?
Peux-tu y aller? Oui, si tu veux.
Pour certains gens, comme ça sur King Street, ça va être plus minime parce qu'on a tout apporté les tuyaux à la ligne de propriété. Mais oui, il y a quand même des travaux qui doivent être faits physiquement à l'extérieur de la maison. L'avantage sur King, c'est que les maisons sont assez proches de la ligne de propriété. Il y a quand même quelques pieds de creusage. On parle de plusieurs $1000, sans aucun doute. Ça dépend, on est-tu dans l'entrée, on est-tu dans un deck, on est-tu dans un trottoir privé, des choses comme ça. Sur d'autres chemins qui n'ont pas de service à la ligne de propriété, là, on parle on en rajoute plusieurs $1000. Parce que là, il faut aller rouvrir le chemin des fois. Ça dépend encore là où le tuyau est situé dans le chemin. S'il est sur le bon côté, c'est moins pire. S'il faut traverser le chemin, mais là, il faut aller patcher l'asphalte, il faut encore là patcher les driveways, refaire le gazon. Fait que c'est des travaux qui sont significatifs, surtout pour des gens, ils ne voient peut-être pas le bénéfice de... Ça fonctionne, c'est fine, là, c'est correct chez nous, là, pourquoi il faut que je paye tout cet argent-là? Puis il y a certaines municipalités comme Ottawa, ils font des programmes de grant ou de loan, low intérêt, pour aider les gens à faire ça. Puis l'idée, c'est que dépenser dans un programme comme ça coûterait moins cher qu'à construire une nouvelle pumping station. Puis tu vas comme faire la même chose, tu vas créer plus de capacité.
Merci, M. Roy. À ce moment ici, je me demandais au Conseil de passer la résolution comme suit, de recevoir le rapport présenté par l'AVB et de mandater l'administration de nous revenir avec un rapport en septembre concernant ce qu'on va faire pour aller de l'avant pour essayer de réparer ce problème. Clair avec tout le monde? Monsieur Lalonde.
Je pense que Jacques aussi voulait
Mon collègue ici, il me dit que M. Gauthier voulait peut-être parler. Ça te tentait-tu de jaser? Mets ton micro dessus.
C'était juste un petit commentaire à la question de Mme Durocher, de savoir combien de maisons qu'il y avait de connecter le pluvial, mettons, sur le sanitaire. C'est que chaque année, quand on donne des permis, on empoigne tout le temps du monde qui ont leur sump-pump de connecter dans le sanitaire. Puis ils le savent très bien que c'est pas supposé d'aller là, mais à un moment donné, leur sump-pump, le puits sec ou le tuyau, il a brisé. Puis ils ont pris le easy way out, puis ils l'ont connecté direct dans le sanitaire. On voit encore les vieilles connexions qui sont là. Puis là, bien, quand on arrive là, puis on voit ça, on leur demande de réparer le tuyau, puis d'enlever le sump pump dans le sanitaire, puis tout ça. Puis combien est-ce qu'il y en a une maison? Je dirais qu'il y en a beaucoup, mais on n'a pas de nombre.
Ça fait du sens. Proposeur, sur ce qu'on a parlé tantôt, M. Miner, appuyé de M. Lalonde. Je ne demande pas s'il y a des questions. Là. Ceux en faveur. Ceux qui sont contre, adoptés. Merci beaucoup, M. Lafleur, de la présentation. C'est beaucoup plus clair, en espérant que la solution sera la bonne et puis que les gens de Riverland, finalement, auront une paix concernant les inondations puis que leur cave reste propre. M. Ménard, pas loin de vous entendre. On est rendu là. Ça fait que merci de votre présence. Merci. Un jour. On continue avec l'item numéro 7.1, planning 7.1.1. Les projets en cours dans le planning, donc vous avez un attachement concernant ce qui est proposé. Monsieur Duval propose, appuyé de... Appuyeur. Madame Clément, oh sorry. Question, discussion sur les ongoing projects. Aucune. All those in favor? Those against? Carried. 7.1.2, zoning bylaw amendment, application. On s'en va à 7.1.2, zoning bylaw amendment, application Z-03-2023, Smith. Madame Laforêt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy I was never decided to become a civil engineer. The application for Smith, council might recall, was for a zoning bylaw amendment to, as a special exception zone to allow for a barn to remain on a residential lot. Just for council's reference, we haven't received any additional comments, and so the final report does recommend third reading.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Laforêt. Je vais lire la résolution. De là, on partira s'il y a des questions. Be it resolved that the final planning and development report Z-03-2023 regarding a proposed zoning amendment on part of Lot 163 M-Plan 100 in the former Township of Longueuil, now in the Township of Champlain, be received, and be it further resolved that planning bylaw number 2023-45 be brought forward for a third and final reading. Proposeur, Mme Bigelow, appuyé de...
Non, vous voulez une question?
Ah oui, c'est un proposeur appuyeur avant. Okay. Monsieur Miner, question? Monsieur Lalonde.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Jennifer, j'ai juste une question comme ça. Dans ta conclusion, tu dis qu'il n'y a pas de problème à accepter le changement de zonage, mais on a pas un amendement, mais on a un commentaire de M. Gauthier qui dit qu'on a un problème avec le règlement de zonage en acceptant ça. D'habitude, quand on a un problème comme ça, c'est marqué, ça dit dans la résolution qu'il faut que M. Smith, dans cette situation-là, il faut qu'il répare ça, puis ça, puis si c'est fait, là, on passe à la troisième lecture. Pourquoi que c'est pas fait là?
Non, c'est une très bonne question. Fait que le conseil va être familier avec l'application parce qu'on a aussi eu une demande pour un détachement de terrain. Puis quand on a fait la revue pour le détachement de terrain, l'administration peut mettre des conditions. Les conditions, dans ce cas ici, on recommande du département de construction, ont recommandé que la grange soit démolie. Parce que d'habitude, les granges ne sont pas des bâtiments résidentiels. Des fois, c'est difficile de justifier que la grange d'une certaine superficie peut être utilisée à fin résidentielle. Quand on fait un changement de zonage, Une autre condition du détachement de terrain, c'était un changement de zonage. Fait que le propriétaire a reçu les conditions, la période d'appel a expiré, puis là, ils ont demandé à l'administration une exception pour garder la grange. Ils ne voulaient plus la démolir. Le problème, c'est que quand on fait un changement de zonage, quand on accepte un changement de zonage, on regarde les niveaux de politique des plans officiels. Puis dans le plan officiel, ça ne dit pas spécifiquement qu'il faut démolir la grange. Fait qu'on regarde la politique ou l'historique des décisions du conseil. Puis c'est fréquent que pour des détachements de terrain dans des secteurs agricoles et ruraux, on a souvent laissé les propriétaires garder les granges sur un terrain résidentiel. On est clair qu'il n'y a plus d'utilisation agricole, que c'est vraiment un bâtiment résidentiel, mais c'est toujours le droit du propriétaire de faire la demande. Fait que la recommandation de planning, c'est que dans le rapport qu'on a présenté pour la rencontre publique, on avait bien décrit comme l'historique par rapport à les décisions pour les granges sur des terrains résidentiels. Puis on avait déterminé que si le conseil trouvait que c'était acceptable, que c'est quelque chose qu'on pourrait autoriser vis-à-vis le plan officiel.
OK, ça veut dire que là, tu nous demandes de voter pour quelque chose qui ne rencontre pas notre règlement de zonage.
Pour faire un changement à un règlement de zonage, tu n'as pas besoin de conformer au règlement de zonage. Tu as besoin de conformer au plan officiel.
Merci, M. Lalonde. Autre question? Ceux en faveur? Contre? Adopté. 7.1.3. Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application Z-04-2023. La ferme Tabouette. Madame Laforêt.
Oui, merci, Monsieur le Maire. This is simply a report summarizing the content of the public meeting. It's provided for information for council, so I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time as well.
Merci, Madame Laforêt. Be it resolved that the Planning and the Development Report Z-04-2023 regarding a proposed zoning amendment on Concession 3, Lot 14, municipality known as 1438 Green Lane Road in the former township of West Hawkesbury, now in the township of Champlain, be received, and be it further resolved that planning bylaw number 2023-51 be brought forward for first and second reading. Par un proposeur, un appuyeur, M. Minor, appuyé de Mme Bigelow. Any questions? Questions? All those in favor? Those against? Carried. 7.1.4, Planning Report. Draft Plan of Subdivision, file number 050, S-17-002, in regards to Mr. Goyer. Madame Laforêt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is simply a cover report indicating a minor plan change to the plan of subdivision for Goyer. Specifically, the developer has modified the draft plan of subdivision and reduced the number of semi-detached dwellings or the lot configuration for semi-detached dwellings and turn them back into single-family homes. It is a minor plan change affecting a very small proportion of the lots. We've provided some summary information for council. If there's any questions, we agree with the proposed minor change and feel it's acceptable and minor in nature.
Merci, Madame Laforêt. La résolution qui suit, be it resolved that Council receive Planning Department a report 050-S-17-002 regarding the proposed modification to the draft plan of subdivision for Jean-Claude Goyer in L'Orignal, and be it further resolved that Council supports the revised draft plan of subdivision presented subject to the conditions in Attachment A. Proposeur appuyeur, M. Roy, appuyé de M. Duval. Question, discussion? Seeing none, ceux en faveur? Contre? Adopté. 7.1.5, application for a part lot control, lot number 10 and 12 on John Street. Madame Laforêt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is also a very standard application. It is for part lot control, which is a partial or deeming bylaw to create a property line between two semi-detached dwellings. It simply requires a council bylaw for authorization. Council can refer to the report. It's a very straightforward request, and we feel that it's appropriate for this property.
Merci, Madame Laforêt. Be it resolved that Planning Department to report PLC-2023-01 regarding the application for part lot control for Lot 110 and Lot 112. They're not lots, they're house numbers, right? Ouais. John Street requested by Gestion Can Corps Inc., Schultz Barrette Surveying Inc. be received, and that bylaw number 2023-50 be brought forward for consideration. Proposeur, appuyeur, M. Minor, puis de Mme Clément. Question, discussion? Any questions? All those in favor? Those against? Carried. 7.1.6. Après le planning. 7.1.6, Planning Report PED-07-2023, Proposed Land Acknowledgement Statement. Madame Laforêt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this, so for council's reference, administration received some correspondence from the Algonquins of Ontario wanting to reach out and build relations. So what we've done is we've prepared a cover memo for that letter and recommended the council prepare a land acknowledgement statement acknowledging two specific Indigenous communities with historical ties to Eastern Ontario. In terms of how acknowledgement statements work, typically there's a bit of background historical information that's provided that contextualizes the land acknowledgement. So what we've tried to do is highlight some of the historical events in Eastern Ontario to explain why, in particular, there is not a treaty for the Algonquins and the need to really build relations with this particular community.
Merci beaucoup. Be it resolved that Council accepts the letter of the Algonquins of Ontario Consultation Office and resolves to strengthen its relationship with the Algonquins of Ontario and the First Nations communities with ancestral connections to land of Eastern Ontario, and be it further resolved that Council supports the land acknowledgement statement as presented and directed administration to present the statement on the Township's website. Proposeur, appuyeur. Mover and seconder, M. Duval, appuyé de M. Roy. Question, discussion? All those in favor? Those against? Carried. 7.1.7, Planning Report PED-08-2023, Short-Term Accommodations Regulations. Madame Laforêt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this particular memo was designed to cover some of the correspondence that we've received over the past couple of months. Just lately in the news, there's been a lot of discussion about short-term rentals. Administration also receives questions regarding whether or not they're permitted in Champlain Township. I would just clarify that we do not have specific regulations for short-term accommodation in Champlain Township. We do have a definition for tourist lodging, a land use category for hotels and motels. We do also have a category for bed and breakfast establishments, but we do not have specific direction for short-term accommodation. The report provides a recommendation that Council include some minor adjustments to its zoning bylaw and that it consider a licensing program for short-term accommodation that would make it easier for Champlain Township's bylaw enforcement and planning departments to monitor short-term rentals in the community. I would be happy to answer any questions from Council on this.
OK. C'est-tu concernant les Airbnb, ça?
Oui.
Un peu dangereux, hein? OK. Be it resolved that Council directs administration to include additional regulations for short-term rentals in the upcoming housekeeping amendments to the zoning bylaw 2000-75, and be it further resolved that Council directs the administration to prepare a draft short-term licensing bylaw and return to Council for further consideration. Proposé par Mme Bigelow, appuyé de M. Minor. Question? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those against? Carried. On s'en va à l'item 7.2, Adoption of Planning Bylaws. 7.2.1, Bylaw number 2023-45, to amend the zoning bylaw 2000-75 in regards to Smith File Z-03-2023. Be it resolved that the third reading and final passage be granted bylaw number 2023-45, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2000-75 in regards to Smith File Z-03-2023. Proposeur appuyeur. Bring it forward. Madame Clément, appuyé de Madame Bigelow. Read a third time. All those in favor? Carried. 7.2.2, bylaw number 2023-49, to designate a road widening as public highway in regards to Pendleton Street. Be it resolved that three reading and final passage be granted in regards to bylaw number 2023-49, being a bylaw to designate a road widening as public highway, Pendleton Street. Proposeur appuyeur. Madame Bigelow, appuyé de Monsieur Duval. Read the first time, all those in favor. Read the second time, all those in favor. Read the third time, all those in favor. Carried. 7.2.3, bylaw number 2023-50, removal of part lot control 110-112 on John Street. Be it resolved that three reading and final passage be granted to bylaw number 2023-50, being a bylaw to provide that section 5, subsection 5 of section 50 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Chapter P13, as amended, does not apply to part of Farm Lot 12, Registered Plan Number 15, formerly in the village of L'Orignal, now in the Township of Champlain, in the County of Prescott, designated as Part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 on Reference Plan 46R 8200, and known municipality as 110 and 112 John Street, and that the clerk be assigned to submit the bylaw of the United Counties of Prescott-Russell for the final approval. Proposeur appuyeur, moved by M. Minor, appuyé de M. Lalonde. Read the first time, all those in favor. Read the second time, all those in favor. Read the third time, all those in favor. Carried. Je fais un autre bylaw, puis après ça, on s'en va au chemin Lalonde. 7.2.4, bylaw number, parce que vous allez tanner de l'entendre ma voix. Bylaw number 2023-51, to amend zoning bylaw number 2000-75, concernant la ferme Tabouette. Be it resolved that two readings passage be granted bylaw number 2023-51, being a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw 2000-75 for la ferme Tabouette. Proposeur appuyeur, Mme Clément, appuyé de M. Minor. Read the first time, all those in favor. Read the second time, all those in favor. Thank you so much. On s'en va à l'item 7.7, Public Works. 7.7.3, le rapport PWD 2023-13 concernant un chemin privé, la maintenance sur le chemin Lalonde. On a des attachements, ou on a un attachement in regards to. Hey, là, ma voix va traîner. As-tu vu la résolution, là, toi, là? My God. Monsieur Tessier, y a-tu un petit commentaire? Tu fais bien rire. On la porte-tu ou quoi? Pas de commentaire, pas rien à rajouter, c'est clair?
Commentaire. Je peux simplement dire qu'on a rencontré un comité, des gens du comité du chemin Lalonde. Puis, dans le fond, qu'est-ce qu'on s'est entretenu et qu'est-ce qui a été convenu au bout de la ligne, c'est d'offrir le service, comme les autres chemins privés, en échange de faire certain qu'il y ait qui ajoute du gravier à chacune des années, 200 tonnes. Donc, ça fait en sorte que le chemin reste dans un état qui est convenable et même plus. L'autre point que je voudrais apporter, c'est qu'on travaille présentement sur un règlement pour les chemins privés. Autrement dit, un règlement qui va venir encadrer ceux qui vont vouloir obtenir des services dans le futur de la municipalité pour des chemins privés. Donc, on ne va pas ouvrir une porte là, à tous les chemins privés. On voulait juste les quitter pour celui-là et c'est tout ce qui est adressé. Donc, essentiellement, en allant de l'avant avec ça, l'administration est en faveur. Là.
Merci, M. Tessier. Les gens du chemin Lalonde, ça valait la peine de l'attente. Là, je pars avec la résolution. On se tient bien. Portez attention parce qu'elle est longue. Be it resolved that Public Works Report Number PWD-2023-13 dated August 24, 2023 regarding Lalonde private road maintenance be received and filed. And be it further resolved that this private road will be maintained as a non-classed road that is not regulated under the Ontario Regulations, file number 239-2002, minimum maintenance standard as follows. In regards to the street name, Lalonde Road, which is known under a private road, plowing and sanding, as per the Township's winter operation planning document, non-classed road, Schedule B, bylaw number 2019-54, grading twice annually, spring and fall, garbage and recycling as per collection schedule. Be it further resolved that the Township would provide the services conditional to 200 metric ton of granular A being added annually to the Lalonde Road at the cost of the adjacent property owners of Lalonde Road. Be it further resolved that neither the Corporation of the Township of Champlain nor its officials or employees make any promise, assurance, or guarantees that this service provided by the Public Works Department will be in excess of the minimum standard as required by regulations and detailed in bylaw number 2019-54, and any amendments thereto. Inherent with the standard is the expectation that drivers will act responsibly and will operate their vehicles at all times, reasonably, with due regard to the prevailing weather and roadways conditions. Be it further resolved that any cost for roadside ditching and or supply of gravel shall be the responsibility of the adjacent property owners of each private road. The Township shall spread the gravel with the Township's equipment if the proper owners coordinate with the Directors of Public Work for one or of the twice annual grading services. Dernier paragraphe. Be it further resolved that the Township extends the commercial liability insurance to cover the maintenance of private roads as described above for the additional annual insurance premium. Monsieur Duval, I will not repeat it.
Did you read it in French?
No. Monsieur Minor. Proposé par Monsieur Minor, appuyé de Monsieur Burrows. Tous en faveur. Contre. Adopté. On vient de passer le chemin à la longue. Je ne lis pas en français, c'est ça qu'il m'a demandé. C'est pas école. On s'en va. Comment? Kevin. Monsieur Tessier.
Excusez, Monsieur le maire, j'ai oublié de dire tantôt. Je voulais donner juste un autre update au conseil. Le chemin du Four, on est très près d'avoir une entente aussi pour qu'on puisse aller étendre du gravier sur ce chemin-là. Donc, on avait deux chemins essentiellement là, qui étaient dans un pied état. Puis, les résidents ils ont pris ça en main avec la municipalité. Donc, ça va être arrangé. Ce qui est une bonne nouvelle.
Bonne nouvelle, en effet. Merci beaucoup, M. Tessier. Vous êtes les bienvenus à rester. Bye tout le monde. Pareillement. On s'en va à l'item 7.3, l'administration 7.3.1, Administration Report AD-2023-04, Proposed Amendments to Bylaw Number 2019-10, Office of the Integrity Commissioner, and a Complaint Protocol of the Council Code of Conduct. On a un attachement. On a trois, en fait. Donc, la résolution se lit comme suit. Be it resolved that Administration Report Number CLK-2023-04 dated August 24, 2023 regarding proposed amendments to Bylaw Number 2019-10 being a bylaw to establish the Office of the Integrity Commissioner and a complaint protocol for the Council Code of Conduct of the Corporation of the Township of Champlain be received and that Bylaw Number 2023-52 be brought forward for adoption. Proposeur, appuyeur. Mme Bigelow, appui de M. Duval. Questions? Any questions? Discussions? All those in favor? Those against? Carried. Financial report, statement. Avant de procéder, on est rendu au département. On sait qu'on est rendu avec une nouvelle trésorière. Monsieur Tessier, s'il vous plaît, introduire notre nouvel employé.
Donc, essentiellement, c'est ça. Je sais que le conseil est déjà au courant, mais aussi pour les membres du public. Donc, je voudrais introduire Mme France Tauvette, qui est maintenant trésorière du canton de Champlain depuis le 10 juillet. Mme Tauvette a travaillé en tant que trésorière adjointe à la municipalité d'Alfred-Plantagenet pendant 3 ans. Elle a, durant ces 3 années-là, participé à préparer et élaborer le budget avec le trésorier. Elle a fait les suivis des budgets opérationnels et des projets capitaux essentiellement. Préparation de fin d'année, élaboration de politique et supervision du personnel des finances. Elle a aussi travaillé 9 années chez Iveco et ainsi que 11 années chez McEwen où elle a pu monter les échelons dans les 2 entreprises et occuper différents postes au niveau des finances. Donc, essentiellement, c'est un bel ajout à notre équipe. Et pour la première fois en 2 ans, on a une équipe complète. Donc, c'est excellent. Donc, bienvenue.
Petit mot, Mme Tauvette?
Certainement. Merci, Monsieur le maire. Je voulais juste saluer les membres du conseil et vous également, Monsieur le maire, et puis dire que je suis très fière de me joindre à l'équipe et puis que j'ai eu un très bel accueil, puis je suis vraiment contente de me joindre à vous.
Merci beaucoup, puis félicitations, puis bienvenue à l'équipe, une équipe forte. Ça rajeunit parce que ça fait 32, 33 ans, puis je m'aperçois que le temps change et les personnes changent. Donc, bienvenue à notre municipalité. Je ne vous visais pas, les messieurs, mais on sait que votre tour s'en vient bien vite. OK, financial statement 7.4.1. Be it resolved that financial statement as of June 30th, 2023 be received and filed. Proposeur appuyeur, Mme Bigelow, appuyé de Mme Clément. Question, discussion sur l'état financier? Aucune. Je suis en faveur. Ce compte adopté. 7.4.2, les comptes. Be it resolved that the accounts paid and as presented by the treasurer on August 24, 2023 be received and filed. Proposeur appuyeur, M. Duval, appuyé de M. Roy. Question, discussion sur les comptes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those against? Carried. Fire Department, 7.5.1, monthly report for June and July. Même principe, to receive and file. Proposeur appuyeur. M. Lalonde, appuyé de M. Duval. Question sur les rapports Fire Department? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those against? Carried. 7.6, Parks and Recreation. 7.6.1, Parks and Rec monthly report for June and July. Again, to receive the reports for June and July as submitted by the Director of Parks and Recreation. Proposeur, M. Duval, appuyé de Mme Clément. Question sur le rapport? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those against? Carried. 7.6.2, Memorandum REC-2023-03, update on the arena renovations. Be it resolved that Memorandum REC-2023-03 regarding an update on the reopening of the Ventliquet Community Center be received and filed. Proposeur appuyeur, M. Miner, seconded by, appuyé de M. Duval. Question sur le rapport? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those against? Carried. 7.7, Public Works, 7.7.1, monthly report for June and July 2023. I'll need a mover and a seconder to file the report of June and July of the Public Works Department. Mme Bigelow, appuyé de M. Miner. Question sur le rapport? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those against? Carried. 7.7.2, report PWD-2023-15, Aberdeen Road, West Drainage Review. On a eu un attachement. Be it resolved that the Public Works report PWD-2023-15 dated August 24, 2023 regarding Aberdeen West drainage problems be received and filed. Proposeur, M. Miner, seconded by Mme Bigelow. Question, discussion, M. Miner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Don't be surprised if you hear me bring it back at budget time.
I would not be surprised. Monsieur Duval.
I was just wondering how come we got the drainage inspector to check the drainage instead of an engineering firm to do the whole road?
Si ma mémoire est bonne, le chemin Aberdeen a des problèmes d'eau. Et pour partir avec le problème d'eau, avant de bâtir le chemin, il a voulu avoir une deuxième opinion concernant notre surintendant du drainage. Soit il donnait des suggestions, soit si on s'en va avec un ingénieur juste pour un rapport de drainage, ça aurait peut-être coûté beaucoup plus cher. Je pense que M. Leroux est assez qualifié pour être capable de nous donner son opinion concernant le drainage. C'est sa job. Oui. Bon, on va finir avec M. Lezeval.
Okay.
You're okay with that? Not really?
No.
Well, if you want a report on an engineer, just ask for one.
No, it's just because it's been the last 10 years, the Aberdeen Road, we've had problems.
Yeah.
And we all know there's a drainage problem. And that's why I figured that an engineer would say, okay, well, we're going to do the ditching and we're going to do this. But,
I understand. But you still got a cost in regards to what could be done. Monsieur Minor?
I have to take part of the blame for that because you're right. First of all, it's not 10 years. It's probably more like 20. And we've been told with previous people and so on, you can't do a thing with that road because of the drainage. So I kind of suggested we do have a drainage superintendent. We do now have a engineering technician with the roads department. So I said, why don't we have them take a look at it and see without costing too much money? And this is what the report they came up with. So finally, it looks like we can pave it and it won't be lost because we were told before, no use paving it, it'll never work. Now we're told it will. I tend to think that the engineer is gone, yeah. I tend to think that I kind of trust this report. That's my opinion.
.7.4, désolé. Rapport PWD 2023-17, Hamill Street, en conséquence de speed control, or speed limit. Be it resolved that Public Works report number PWD-2023-17, dated August 24, 2023, regarding the ML Street speed limit petition be received and filed, and be it further resolved that Council approves a recommendation to reduce the speed limit on Hamill Street from 50 kilometers per hour to 40 kilometers per hour, and requires that the bylaw be brought forward at the next regular council meeting in September 2023. Proposeur, M. Duval, seconded by M. Minor. Question? Discussion? Madame Bigelow.
I guess it's more of a comment than a question. So in their report, they're saying, that speed is an issue. There's lots of kids on the street. There's lots of kids on every street in Bankley-Kill, Mill Street, anywhere around the arena. And specifically, these people on Hamill Street have asked, but could we not just, before Mill Street asks, before Union Street asks, can we not just put all of the town streets at 40 kilometers if it's not posted?
You can, council decision. You could make a resolution in regards to what you're asking. Council decides. Monsieur Minor?
If I may, I remember in the past, probably Mr. Duval will remember also, I know his memory might be worse than mine because he's quite a bit older, but anyway, where in the past we have done speed changes, and the next thing we know, we had a petition from the people that lived on the road complaining they didn't want it brought down. So these people wanted it. We're not going right to 30 like they want, we're going 40. that's fine. But I think to give it, other streets might not really want it. Because all of a sudden they say, we're creeping along here. It's a one-way street, so it stands to reason, but a two-way street, to bring it down to 40, maybe some of the people don't want it.
Madame Bigelow?
Because on Stanley Street and Home Avenue, we do have the humps, what are they? Speed bumps, put out with the slower traffic signs, and I know Councillor Kirkner, had always wanted those put up on Stanley Street. I understand that, okay, maybe doing the whole town might not, but before because this was going to be reported on, this is going to get out, and we will probably have all the people from Mill Street with the arena traffic and Stanley Street, and so I'm just trying to facilitate an easier way to do this than having this come up at every meeting for the next 6 meetings.
Might be the proper route to take, but Monsieur Duval.
On those streets, there's no speed bumps, they're just signs, children playing. There's no speed bumps.
Is there not a speed bump?
No, there was a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Madame Bigelow, for the comments. On est rendu à Monsieur Tessier.
Monsieur le maire, pour le commentaire de Madame Bigelow, je crois que ça serait important peut-être de demander au directeur des travaux publics peut-être de préparer le rapport sur ce point-là, si jamais c'est quelque chose que vous voulez regarder, de mettre un speed limit à 40 km/h à la grandeur de la municipalité avant d'aller de l'avant. Je pense que c'est lui qui est pas ici ce soir, mais c'est lui qui est le spécialiste sur ça. Fait que ça serait ma recommandation. Quelque chose qu'on pourrait explorer, mais à un autre moment.
Très bonne idée. We'll finish with this resolution, and if you want to pass the second one that you had asked the director to come back with a report in regards to 40 kilometers, that would be your option. J'ai un proposeur, j'ai un appuyeur, donc all those in favor? Those against? Carried. Do you want to bring it up at another meeting, or you want to do it now? On a une proposition sur la table qui demanderait au directeur des travaux publics de rapporter une étude au conseil concernant la vitesse de 50 km dans les villages à 40 km.
Dans les 2 villages?
Tu veux-tu l'avoir dans les 2 villages ou on fait juste 20 liquides? Tant qu'à faire le rapport, tu vas faire les 2 rapports. So do L'Orignal and 20 liquides. OK? Proposé par Mme Bigelow, appuyeur, M. Duval. All those in favor? Those against? Carried. Ça va à l'item 7.8, Building, the monthly report for June and July 2023. Again, be it resolved to receive the file in regards to the building department for June and July, be received and file. Proposeur, Mme Bigelow, appuyé de M. Minor. Question, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those against? Carried. Bylaw officer, monthly report in regards to June and July 2023. Be it resolved that the monthly report of Bylaw Enforcement Department report for June and July 2023 as submitted by the Bylaw Enforcement Officer be received and filed. Proposeur, M. Duval, appuyé de Mme Clément. All those question? All those in favor? Against? Carried. Communication and Connect Development monthly report, June and July 2023. Again, mover and seconder to receive and file those 2 months. Monsieur Lalonde, appuyé de Mme Bigelow. Question, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those against? Carried. Daycare Services, 7.11.1, monthly report for June and July 2023. Again, I'll need a mover and a seconder to receive and file the Daycare Services report. Mme Bigelow, appuyé de Mme Clément. Question? All those in favor? Those against? Carried. Drainage report in regards to June and July 2023. Be it resolved that the report for the month of June and July, as submitted by the drainage superintendent, be received and filed. Proposeur, appuyeur. M. Miner, appuyé de M. Roy. Questions sur le rapport? All those in favor? Against? Carried. 7.12.2. Drainage Report 2023-02. Update to the Drainage Assessment Albert Jean-Louis Municipal Drain. On a 4 attachements. Be it resolved that Council approved that the Drainage Superintendent prepares an update to the drainage assessment under the Section 65 in brackets 2 of the Drainage Act on the severed parcel of Plan 15, Part Farm Lot 42, known under the RP 46 R 8185 Part 1 and 2. Main roll number is 0209-007-003 08400 in order to carry out the future maintenance of the Albert Jean-Louis Municipal Drain as per bylaws 165, which the owner have a mutual accepted and signed the apportionment of a share for the said properties. Proposeur, appuyeur, M. Miner, appuyé de M. Lalonde. Questions sur le rapport? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those against? Carried. Water and Sewage, Ontario Clean Water, monthly report for the second quarter of 2023. Be it resolved that the quarterly operations a report card from Aqua for the Township of Champlain, water and waste water treatment facilities for the second quarter 2023 be received and filed. Proposeur appuyeur, Mme Bigelow, seconded by Mme Clément. Questions sur le rapport? Seeing none. All those in favor? Against? Carried. 8.1 Recycling, the minutes of June 19, 2023 meeting. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Joint Recycling Committee meeting of June 19, 2023 be received and filed. Proposeur, appuyeur, M. Miner, seconded by M. Roy. Any questions? Comments? All those in favor? Against? Carried. Committee of the Whole, we have one item in regards to 8.3.1, request for noise bylaw exemption for the fireworks. This was approved and it's passed, so be it resolved that the following item, as identified under the consent item category, a regular meeting agenda of August 24, 2023 be adopted. 8.3.1, request for noise bylaw exemption for the fireworks. Be it also, c'est deux resolutions? Or oh no, there's two resolutions. I have two here.
One is, sorry, the resolution that you see in the second place is the one that the committee passed. Yeah.
Very good, thank you. Proposeur et appuyeur for the noise bylaw exemption. Mr. Duval, appuyé de Mme Clément. All those in favor? Against? Carried. Prescott Russell Recreational Trail Committee, 8.4.1, the minutes of June 28, 2023 meeting. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Prescott and Russell Recreation Trail Committee meeting of June 28, 2023 be received and filed. Proposeur, Mme Bigelow, appuyé de M. Duval. Questions sur le rapport? Seeing none, all those in favor? Against? Carried. 10, other business, water and sewage connection cost. On a an attachment. We have an attachment in regards to a proposed solution. Monsieur Tessier, est-ce qu'on demande au Conseil de nous rapporter un rapport ou non, c'est clair?
Bien. Je crois qu'il serait important, Monsieur le maire, de passer une résolution qui me donne l'instruction de vous ramener un rapport là-dessus. Comme ça, tout le monde est en faveur. Puis on revient avec un rapport sur pourquoi que c'est arrivé tout de même, puis qu'est-ce qu'on proposerait pour modifier le règlement des frais, des user fees.
Merci, M. Tessier. Proposé par M. Roy, appuyé de M. Miner. Que le rapport nous revienne concernant les connexions. All those in favor? Those against? Carried. 11, adoption of minutes. We'll do 11.1, minutes of public work meeting of June 22nd, also 11.2, the minutes of the regular meeting of June 22nd, 2023, and also the 11.3 minutes of the Committee of the Whole, August 10, 2023. So all these three meetings, the Committee of the Whole will be received as presented. Proposeur appuyeur, M. Roy, puis de Mme Bigelow. Any questions on these three items? Seeing none, all those in favor? Against? Carried. Bylaws 12, on s'en va à l'item 12.1. Bylaw number 2023-52, to amend the bylaw number 2019-10, Office of the Integrity Commissioner and a complaint protocol for the Council Code of Conduct. Be it resolved that 3 readings and final passage be granted bylaw number 2023-52, being a bylaw to amend the bylaw number 2019-10, a bylaw to establish the Office of the Integrity Commissioner and a complaint protocol for the Council Code of Conduct of the Corporation of the Township of Champlain. Proposeur appuyeur, Mme Clément, appuyé de M. Lalonde, sorry. Question? No. So on s'en va 3 readings. Read the first time, all those in favor? Read the second time, all those in favor? Read the third time, all those in favor? Carried. Correspondance pour action. Maison Interlude. Request Financial Support, 13.1. Vous avez vu l'attachement. Il nous demande des fonds. Le conseil décide. No action.
On a-t-il un slush fund quelque part?
Demandez à Mme Clément. Non. On a un slush fund.
Parce que le budget va être trop tard pour eux autres.
Did they request?
Par exemple, leur demande,
Is it $1,000 bucks?
I'd say 1,000, yeah. What they're asking for. I know it's late, but
It is late. On a un proposeur, M. Duval, that recommends that we support them with a $1,000 donation. Do I have a seconder? M. Burroughs. Question? M. Minor. M. Roy.
Pardon. Il faut être constant dans nos décisions. On a déjà dit non à un groupe il n'y a pas tellement longtemps. Je ne vois pas pourquoi on renverserait. Je pense qu'il faut s'en tenir à la façon qu'on procède annuellement.
Entendu les commentaires, on a une résolution sur la table. On a un proposeur, un appuyeur. Autres commentaires? Ceux qui sont en faveur de supporter le 1 000 $. Ceux qui sont contre. Résolution de défaite. We move on. On s'en va à l'item numéro 14, correspondance pour le support en résolution 14.1, Town of Fort Erie, Controls of Airbnb and VRBO. Support or file? Bon, on l'a fait avec un des rapports, so we should support it.
Yeah.
Monsieur Minor, appuyé de Mme Bigelow. All those in favor? Against? Carried. City of Woodstock, homelessness and opioid crisis. File. No action. 14.3, Municipality of Chatham-Kent, Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Private Act, known under the MFIFPA. Time for change. Do they want to rework the act? They do, eh? So we should support it. Big times. Proposeur? Mme Clément, puis de M. Lalonde. All those in favor? Those against? Carried. Municipality of North Perth, vacant building official positions. In regards to empty buildings?
Non.
Ils veulent faire de quoi avec ça?
Empty position.
Empty positions. Bon, c'est pareil. Well, if there's no people, there's no... Who's going to talk? Michel Lalonde.
Vont être traités.
Ça recommence.
Pardon?
Ça recommence. 50% des...
50 des building inspecteurs dans les prochains 5 ans, me semble que j'ai lu, vont se retirer.
Right.
Comme c'est là, il n'y a pas personne qui veut appliquer pour ces jobs-là parce que, personnellement, je trouve que les tests sont trop durs et le gouvernement devrait faire quelque chose pour ça. Puis, s'il n'y a rien qui se fait pour ça, ça va aller mal dans la province. Ça va être comme au Québec. Oups.
Tu supportes, Lynn?
Je supporte.
Proposé par M. Lalonde, appuyé de M. Roy. Autres commentaires, autres questions? All those in favor? Against? Carried. CN request 14.5, support for Rail Safety Week. I think we should support. C'est just awareness, very important. M. Lalonde, appuyé de Mme Clément. All those in favor? Against? Carried. 14.6, City of Cambridge Highway Traffic Act amendments. Très important. M. Burrows. Appuyé de M. Lalonde. All those in favor? Ah, M. Lalonde.
C'est qui, M. Lalonde?
Tu as secondé?
Oui.
C'est go. Ou je devrais dire appuyé. Secondé, c'est pas le bon terme.
On peut-tu mettre un commentaire là-dessus?
Si tu veux.
Ils vont changer cet acte-là, si jamais il change, que ça pourrait dire que la municipalité elle pourrait mettre des fausses pancartes de radar photo. C'est certain que ça ralentirait le trafic.
Il y a d'autres choses qui s'en viennent. Il y a d'autres choses qui s'en viennent. Il y a d'autres choses importantes qui s'en viennent. Question de temps. Correspondance for information. Champlain Township, a letter of support for heritage inventory. My God. Les mains enlevées là, hein?
Information.
Yeah, I understand. Madame Brilot?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is I think sometimes we all have something that we like, we vote on and then we think about it again and we're like, oh man, you know what? I should have said this and I should have. So I've been talking to a lot of people since this report first came out. And Jennifer, it was a great report. And after I left that meeting, I kicked myself that I didn't support it. But in the following months since that, I've been talking to a lot of people and they say, how can we get that back? So I'm happy to see how many people did send correspondence to the township. So I would like to bring that back to the table and say that we go ahead with Jennifer's report and proposal to have an inventory list.
Thank you, Madame Brilot. Monsieur Duval.
I've also talked to a lot of the people that were on the committees, museum committees, tower committees, and they're wondering why we turned it down. And what I would like to see, if we get something like from Jennifer the next time, recommend to council. It's a recommendation. Like me too, after people talked to me, I said, well, we should have voted on it.
She did, though. There was a recommendation.
Yeah, but we voted against it. But we should.
Sometimes we overthink, but it's always nice that we are allowed to bring back some items that sometimes we do go off track. Madame Collard, Monsieur Minor, après ça, Monsieur Roy.
So at the last meeting, there was a two-part resolution. The first part was to receive and file, which we did. Perhaps you would like me to read the resolution. So it was, be it further resolved that Council approve the recommendation to establish a Heritage Advisory Committee and that Council appoint the Mayor and 2 councillors to the Heritage Advisory Committee. So we would need names.
Proposeur appuyeur. Monsieur Minor, seconded by Madame Bigelow. Avant de continuer, commentaire, Monsieur Minor, ou question?
I read every letter that was that we received there, and I also read there was a couple more in the review that were not in that list. Most of them seemed that they understood very well what was asked, but some of them added the protection part of it, which would be heritage registration, right? Is that my right term? Okay. I think that what I propose anyway, what I expect is the list and not the registration. And I think that we should make sure that people are very much aware of what the list does and what it doesn't do. Because I would not necessarily be in favor of registrations, that we would create registrations without the owner's approval and so on, because it entails a whole lot more. I've had a conversation with Jennifer on this week, so I'm glad that we're doing this. And it shows that once in a while our citizens know more than we do, or at least I don't know if they do, but they definitely brought us to the fact that we slept on the switch on that one. What I can use as an excuse is on at that specific meeting, Jennifer had too many reports. But anyway, so I'm glad that we are doing this resolution.
In the same resolution, there's 3 names that we have to mention, the mayor and 2 councillors. I have Mr. Duval that is interested in being part of the committee. Qui est la deuxième personne? Madame Bigelow? Now, can I give my spot if somebody wants it? Y a-t-il quelqu'un de L'Orignal qui aimerait l'avoir? Toi, Michel, ou bien toi, André? Moi, le garder si c'est au... peut-être M. Burroughs. M. Burroughs a de l'expérience avec plusieurs buildings, propriétaire de plusieurs, puis connaît un peu l'historique de L'Orignal. Je ne veux pas le mettre sur le spot, mais je suis dans beaucoup de comités, puis c'est pas parce que je veux pas le faire. Je pense que ça m'intéresserait bien gros, mais je veux donner la chance à... Tu veux-tu le faire? M. Burroughs. Donc, on a Mme Bigelow, M. Burroughs et M. Duval. M. Roy, tantôt, vous aviez un commentaire.
Ça va dans le même sens que M. Miner, parce que j'ai lu toutes les lettres. J'ai pas de problème à ce qu'il y ait un inventaire. C'est correct d'avoir un inventaire. Là où j'ai un problème, c'est quand on va aller plus loin, parce que dans les lettres, ils ne parlent pas juste de faire l'inventaire. Il est aussi question de protéger que les gens, ils veulent garder le cachet. Puis s'ils sont pour commencer à exiger que le propriétaire doit maintenir le même style de construction avec les coûts qui se rajoutent à ça, moi, c'est clair que je n'irai pas dans ce sens-là. Donc, qu'il y ait un inventaire, j'ai pas de problème. S'ils veulent vendre ça pour la région, fine. Mais d'imposer aux propriétaires des coûts énormes pour maintenir les structures, souvent, ces gens-là qui ont acheté ces propriétés-là, c'est parce qu'ils ont un intérêt là-dedans. Donc, ils ne commenceront pas à tout changer. Mais je ne pense pas que c'est à nous d'imposer ça. Donc, comme je dis, d'avoir l'inventaire, je n'ai pas de problème avec cette résolution-là, mais je n'irai pas plus loin.
Merci, M. Roy. M. Miner.
Merci, M. le maire. Dernier petit point, justement, sur le même sujet. À travers les années, on a eu des situations. À un moment donné, ici, la plupart des gens se souviennent du couvent avec lequel, puis l'encre qui a coulé avec ça, puis les déjeuners causeries que j'ai eu à la maison avec mon épouse à propos de ça. Souvent, ou quand on entend des commentaires des gens à propos de « faudrait sauver ce building-là », c'est rarement de la personne qui demeure dedans. C'est facile de dire la municipalité devrait protéger ce building-là, mais le gars qui l'a acheté, lui-là, il ne veut peut-être pas avoir cette affaire-là. Puis nous autres, bien, on en a une couple de buildings. Je pense qu'on a Higginson Tower, le musée avec lequel il est. On a-tu d'autres qui sont...
Pas à Van Cleek Hill.
Tout ça pour dire que je pense que c'est pour ça que moi, j'ai beaucoup de difficultés avec l'aspect protection. Ça ne veut pas dire que le comité ne pourra pas nous emmener possiblement des suggestions, mais il va falloir marcher sur des braquettes quand ça va arriver. Merci, M. le maire.
Merci, M. Miner. M. Duval, j'ai une question pour vous. Ventlequil a une liste de ces emplacements-là à Ventlequil avant l'amalgamation, si ma mémoire est bonne. Do you remember if you ever passed one? I know there's one in L'Orignal. Mais où ce qui est allé, il devrait avoir une liste. Yeah, there should be a list.
Oui.
Tu ne sais pas? Pas certain? Ouais.
Oui.
Madame Laforêt.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. On sait que nos comités ont fait beaucoup de travail. C'est pour ça qu'on veut qu'ils soient sur le comité. Comme ça, on peut se partager de l'information puis avoir une liste qui est complète puis mise à jour.
Une liste mise à jour. Perfect. Autres commentaires? Autres questions? All those in favor? Here we go. Against? Carried. Thank you for the public. Their input was very important, and sans oublier qu'il y a une 24 lettres sites là, puis merci beaucoup. 15.2, City of Ottawa, donation, decommission ambulance. C'est pour votre information, donc aucune action. Monsieur Miner.
Peut-être pas bien constructif, mon affaire, mais il aurait d'être bien dû à garder. Il volera les moins souvent nos ambulances à nous autres quand ils sont à Ottawa.
Oui, mais je pense qu'il ne marche plus. Question period, item numéro 16. There's none. On s'en va à l'item numéro 17, les annonces. None. Don't forget September 10th, Festival of Flavors, very important. Ventlequil, Sunday, be present, bien important. It's a very nice event. It is so good. In camera, on l'a fait. On s'en va à l'item 18.2. There's a resolution that I need to pass. So, Human Resources. Pardon? Oui. C'est le 10 septembre. Be it resolved that Council approves that an operator performing a supervisory role to assist the public work lead hand be entitled to a step-up increase of no more than 15% to their hourly pay rate, and be it further resolved that Council approves the supervisory role to be applicable from May 1st to September 30th each year, or to replace the lead hand during vacation outside this period. Be it further resolved that a bylaw be brought forward to amend the personal policy. Proposeur, appuyeur, M. Duval, seconded by M. Miner. All those in favor? Against? Carried. J'ai une autre résolution. I have another resolution that I need to do at 18.5. Be it further resolved, Council appoints Mayor Riopel, Mayor Riopel, Councillor Bigelow, and Councillor Lalonde, and Mr. Kevin Tessier, CAO, as a member of the interview and the selection committee for the Human Resources position. Proposeur appuyeur. Madame Bigelow, appuyée de Madame Bigelow. Madame Clément, appuyée de Monsieur Lalonde. All those in favor? Against? Carried. Next meeting, item number 19, Committee of the Whole, if necessary, September 14th. On le tue? Oh, it is. So it is a definite at 6 p.m. And we also have regular council meeting on September 28th. Confirming bylaw? Bylaw number 2023-53. Be it resolved that 3 readings and final passage be given. Bylaw number 2023-53, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of a council at its meeting of August 24, 2023. Proposeur appuyeur, M. Duval, appuyé de Mme Bigelow. Read the first time, all those in favor? Read a second time, all those in favor? Read a third time, all those in favor? Carried. Ajournement? Proposeur appuyeur pour sortir de cette rencontre du council meeting at 8:20. Proposeur, M. Duval, appuyé de M. Lalonde. All those in favor? Against? Carried. Thank you so much. Bonne soirée. Ça a bien été. Gros meeting. On se revoit le 10 septembre au Festival des Saveurs.
Is the library in